Now listen here, men and women primarily don't seek same type of qualities when they're looking for a partner. This issue is so deep-rooted in modern societies that we never seem to figure out how sexual dynamics between men and women work. I see commentaries on other channels and I get questions myself on how to deal with a certain type of situation, whether they have been dumped or they're trying to attract the kind of person that they want, or they simply want to attract their crush that they were drooling over for several months. Now I will be talking about men and women in a conventional sense. So if you have any other questions on men or women having different types of energies, you're welcome to check these videos out. They will explain my point of view or my stance in this topic. Women are much better at dating game. And yes, that's a game. And the person that says otherwise is lying or totally oblivious to what happens around him. The one who screams louder than others about not playing games plays the most, because we have to play. Men and women are geared totally different, and we look into different cues in choosing a mate to procreate with, biologically speaking, of course, because that's where our instincts are grounded in biology that has been formed in millions of years. Men and women have different evolutionary strategies to procreate, to reassure that the lineage will continue on, and these strategies don't coincide. That's why we don't seem to understand and come to a consensus when we're choosing a partner. That's why we experience troubles within relationships. Several months, years, or decades into the relationship, we feel that something doesn't feel right, something is missing. And talking, unfortunately, doesn't help, because biology is much more powerful than logic. So the strategy that male specimens have developed throughout the years is about scattering the seed. That's why a male junk is much more larger compared to other primates. Of course, I'm talking from the sense of the ratio between the size of the body and the junk. So because we have relatively bigger tools compared to other neighboring species, it is meant to be used. So basically it is there to maximize the biological potential of increasing the chances of continuation of the lineage. If I plant seeds here and there, the possibility of my DNA carrying on throughout the human history is much higher. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mean that it's the optimal way for a human male to procreate, but either way it's an effective one. And when it comes to human females, their strategy is totally different, because the eggs are much more expensive than semen. Thus, a woman has to strategize to choose out the best possible suitable partner to procreate with. And those qualities are of course about investment, protection and provision. So as you can understand, those strategies don't go hand in hand. They're a bit contradictory, and that's why monogamy isn't the ultimate way for people. And even as a species, we are not meant to be monogamous. That doesn't mean that monogamy doesn't work in societies. In fact, that's one of the reasons why our societies have had such success in development and progression. So how do we translate this information into modern life dating? Females don't value sex as much as males do. First of all, because they have access to it whenever they want. And secondly, most importantly, men have much more higher concentration of testosterone, between 10 to 17 times more. And it's a primary hormone that is responsible for sexual drive. If you don't believe me, you can search a content about a woman transitioning to become a man, thus injecting a lot of testosterone in her body. Listen them explain how much more aggressively sexual they become. High amount of testosterone is responsible not only for the sexual drive, but the aggression as well. So because it's easy to get laid as a woman, she doesn't put a lot of emphasis. The thing that females value much more is attention. Knowing that she is loved, she is protected, she is taken care of. But the tricky part is, the more you get of something good, the less of a value it retains. It's like becoming a crack addict. The more seasoned of a crack addict you are, the more dosage you will need to satisfy your urges. The thing that men value more is the physical intimacy. Men don't care about attention in the same way. So it becomes this kind of exchange of needs. You give me attention, I will give you physical intimacy. And of course it's much more complicated than that, so let's keep it simple. No such thing as unconditional affection. He makes her feel in a certain way mentally. She makes him feel in a certain way physically. So the tricky part is, where most people fail at, is balancing these two equities. Either a woman ends up giving too much sexual intimacy and not giving any attention back, which makes her to go insane, or a man gives too much attention without receiving any physical intimacy in any sort, which makes him utterly frustrated. Social media has corrupted the game, throwing off this balance, because women can receive attention whenever they want, at the tip of their fingers. And yes, she gets advantage, more attention and bigger selection pool. But as I said before, the more you get of something good, the less you value it. So it doesn't suffice with a healthy amount of validation. Men lose more because, as I mentioned here, they try to adapt to the digital side of this game. But only truly overall successful men can gain something out of that digital. As a dude, you offer much more than just looks, and you cannot convey it through digital means. If it would fall on men's decision, we would drastically cut down on dating. She has to screen the candidates, because men display and women choose. Notice that it doesn't mean that you have to do it as she tells you. Most women screen unknowingly, searching for masculine traits. There has to be polarity between two. After that first screening, it's all about balance. It's all about push and pull game, time versus physical. There has to be balance for the connection to be established. And when I say balance, it doesn't mean 50-50. It means a man exhibiting masculine traits and a woman exhibiting feminine traits. And it doesn't matter how long you have been in a relationship. It's a power struggle. The moment that one party has much more power than the other one, the house of cards is going down. The person with the most power is the person with the most abundance. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Hossein out.